I think it's pretty crazy, by the way. Didn't you say Toronto? Yeah, but it's an American flight coming in from the United States. It is a testament to plane safety that this right here led to 0 deaths. Just so you understand. Like, that is crazy. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Austin, well, my plane expert said that this was very likely due to pilot error. Don't know if the pilots were like, you know, gay, black, white, woke. It's really, really scary stuff, I think, especially if you enjoy these life-saving programs for the most part. But speaking of saving lives, let's talk about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Once again, another plane has flipped yesterday, arriving at the Toronto airport. Many people will say it's actually icy conditions. I say it's DEI. Turns out it is DEI or die, okay? Not the other way around. Planes are flipping left and right. Planes are falling out of the sky, folks. And if you're wondering why that's happening, let me tell you, okay? Turns out it was not just a buzzword. Turns out it was holding everything together, okay? It was holding what remains of our capitalist eroded institutions together, okay? It was the tape that held everything. Pete Buttigieg and the gay sex he was having was literally making sure that transportation maintained, like commerce could flow, okay? If Pete Buttigieg was a straight man, you guys thought Palestine, Ohio was bad, okay? He held it together. Do you understand? And we had no idea. I was so wrong. And I apologize. Pete Buttigieg, I apologize to you, sir. It turns out you were keeping it all together. We were wrong. Me, but with pilots when I get on a plane now.
How you doing, my man? What can I get you?
My man. Yeah, can I get a large caramel sassafras, please?
My guy, that's one of my favorites.
My guy. Hold on, man. Hold on. I'm not seeing no tote bag.
Oh, I don't got one. I got a backpack.
A backpack? Okay, it looks like you haven't dyed your hair in months. Are you stable?
I've never dyed my hair.
You've never dyed your hair?
Yeah, no. We don't f with coffee shops that don't have at least one employee with a septum piercing, okay? And we don't f with airlines that don't have pilots that are at least in a polyamorous relationship. You understand me? I want, at the very least, for my pilot to say he, she, or they, or zim, zer, f it, whatever you want, neo pronouns, I don't give a shit, to tell me that they are ace aromantic. I'm not getting on no plane until the pilot tells me that they're ace aromantic, okay? And they got bipolar disorder or DID, f it, I don't even care. Something, okay? We gotta have pronouns in the cockpit. We need more pronouns in the fucking cockpit. I'll say it. I'm sick and tired of it. We need it. If you are a straight white man, okay? If you're a straight white man, I want nothing to do with you. If you are a straight white man, you need to drop everything, okay? You are no longer allowed. You need to go suck a dick, okay? At least one penis before you can man the joysticks again, okay? You understand me? I'm done. I'm done.
No.
Why? Hold on, brother. Are you straight?
That's a weird question.
Just answer the question, yes or no, are you straight?
Yeah, I am. What?
Go ahead and put that coffee down, man. Go ahead and shut this whole operation down, man.
Why?
My man, how am I gonna get a caramel sassafras, no sass, huh? Huh? Straight as a board? You gonna make me a cup of joe? Get the f out of here. What are we talking? No, man, I need you to pick me up, man. Cause they got straight baristas in the coffee shop, man. I don't even know what's going on anymore. I mean, you're going to work, you want a cup of gay coffee. We got straight spaghetti here. You just get shit up, man.
I agree. But instead of baristas, I'm talking pilots, okay? We're no longer maintaining this position just for baristas. We're talking air traffic control. We're talking pilots. We're talking, you know, people who work in travel safety. of any sort. Okay? We're done. We're done with this whole no DEI shit. We're done. Okay? It's like what? A month in with no DEI? Planes are falling out of the sky every goddamn day. We can't do this. We've up. Bring it back. Bring it back instantly.
We're going to begin this morning, though, with the incredible stories of survival after the terrifying crash of a Delta flight. Guarantee you've never seen anything like this before. Take a look. The video shows the plane as it skids, catches fire, and then flips upside down. That's right, a plane upside down on the tarmac as it lands at Toronto's Pearson Airport.
I think it's pretty crazy, by the way. Didn't you say Toronto? Yeah, but it's an American flight coming in from the United States. It is a testament to plane safety that this right here led to 0 deaths. Just so you understand. Like, that is crazy. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Austin, well, my plane expert said that this was very likely due to pilot error. Don't know if the pilots were like, you know, gay, black, white, woke, all jokes aside, you know, the whole DEI narrative aside. This was most likely pilot error, it seems.
80 people on board when this happened on a flight. It started in Minneapolis. Many were injured, but the big news, the great news, the good news here is nobody died in this crash. Tom Hansen is at Toronto's Pearson Airport with more on this story. Tom, you've got 80 grateful people this morning. Good morning to you.
Yeah, no doubt, Gail. Good morning to you as well. Well, the 2 runways involved in this crash are still closed this morning as the investigation continues. We're learning more about a couple of the people who were more seriously injured, a 40-year-old woman, a 60-year-old man, both in critical condition this morning. 16 other passengers walked away with minor injuries, but still there are so many questions about how this crash happened in the first place.
I mean, the video
New
itself.
video shows the moment a Delta regional jet crash landed at the Toronto Pearson Airport Monday afternoon. You see it catch fire as it skids across the tarmac before rolling.
Pilot error, but like pilot had crosswinds, wind shear, and other factors to consider. Yeah, I mean, he came in too hot. There's crosswinds, and then, you know,
over, surrounded by a plume of black smoke. TMZ obtained this angle of the crash landing.
How is... I'm done, dude. I'm done. I think this is... I'm done. Like, there is... how is it TMZ that is, like, always doing just peak journalism? What the f*** is going on, man?
The aircraft starts...
Never seen these plane crashes in all 30 years of my living. Yeah, I mean, look. Do you want my honest assessment now that we're done making jokes about DEI and stuff? Everything in Western society... Okay, virtually everything is getting marginally worse and worse due to the profit motive. Okay, this didn't magically happen overnight once Trump became president. Okay, that is precisely the reason why it's not gay or black people that are at fault for all of these plane crashes. Black people at fault when Boeing planes were having their fucking doors explode mid-flight. Okay. And this is, by the way, yet another Boeing plane for the record. So there is, I mean, it could possibly be that there was some sort of error on the landing gear side too. But the reality of the matter is, it's just N-shitification. Okay? That's it. No, it's not. It's not a Boeing plane. Oh, it's a Bombardier. It's a Mitsubishi CRJ. Okay, regardless, every single type of plane, like every company that creates products that are supposed to have 700 different types of redundancies have been cutting corners nonstop. The other side of the story, the other side of the issue is also, ironically, labor related. Because there are a million different hands that are supposed to touch everything that we take for granted that we assume is just safe to either consume or, you know, services that we take advantage of. Okay, all the way from the luggage handlers to flight attendants to actual pilots to air traffic control. Every aspect of this is hit by constant efficiency seeking, profit seeking corporate overlords that basically cut the existing labor force to the best of their ability. Okay. And it's happening. It was happening under the Biden administration. It's happening under the Trump administration at an alarming rate as well. Okay. Are you afraid of flying? No. I'm still not afraid of flying. But the reality of the matter is, it's not just flight. It's not just air travel. Every aspect of America, every aspect of American society, every aspect of the Western world has these exact same issues. And slowly but surely, deregulation and mass layoffs at the behest of efficiency, making a smaller workforce do the job of a much larger workforce, like overworking a reduced workforce over and over again, is inevitably going to lead to more issues like this. It's not just going to make air travel worse, it's going to make everything worse. And it already has made everything worse. Okay? That's it. How many weeks out do you think we are from Trump and Elon privatizing the interstate highway system? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You were right. Something is fucked up this year, mid-February, and already several aviation incidents. I think there's another part of this that obviously creates like more panic because more people focus on otherwise like commonplace incidents as well. And then they package them with like significantly larger problems. Like, this story is a big deal. Luckily, there was no fatalities. And it's packaged alongside a much larger story with the mid-air collision. And it's packaged alongside like, the Japanese the pilots in Seattle, Tacoma, experiencing like a minor bump after landing while during when they're basically taxiing, right? Like that's not as significant. But in your mind, you just see like so many plane incidents over and over again. And you basically start assuming that it's just planes are falling out of the sky nonstop. Okay, this one would have always made the news. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just talking about like two planes colliding after, like briefly colliding after, during taxi is that's commonplace. It's not like that significant, but it becomes a significant story because there's a lot of aviation incidents that are in the news. I reported on this after the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment. People hyper-focused on train derailments, not realizing that there were more than 1,000 train derailments, both large and small, every single year. Okay? Are you saying incidents are not rising? No. That's not what I'm saying at all. There are definitely a lot of incidents that are high profile for good reason. But I think that still, if you're asking me like, is it truly terrifying? Is it truly like unsafe to travel? I don't think so. At least not yet. Like for me, what am I going to do? Not fly? Well, I have to. You know what I mean?
Upside down and burning.
Our plane crashed.
Images of the aftermath show the plane upside down on the tarmac, its wings and tail ripped off, and its landing gear pointed towards the sky.
Everything, drop it. Come on.
Flight attendants and crew members rushed to help stunned passengers strapped upside down in their seatbelts escape the wreckage.
It sounded, it was just cement and metal,
Pete Carlson, who was traveling to a paramedics conference, was on the frightening flight.
All of a sudden, everything just kind of went sideways. And then next thing I know is kind of a blink and I'm upside down, still strapped in.
He says he knew he had to get off the plane quickly.
Took my seatbelt off, which I had obviously left fastened for the landing. And as I took it off, crashed down onto the ceiling, which had become the floor.
Passengers looked on in shock as emergency...
Is this why you fly private? I mean, ironically enough, private aviation is significantly more dangerous than commercial air travel. So I've heard a lot of people talking about how like, oh, Elon's going to gut like... the FAA or take control over the FAA or air traffic control. And, even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was talking about like, well, we should force Elon to like travel commercial then. And it's funny to say that because it doesn't really change the dynamic at all. Private air, private air travel also relies on like the National Weather Service, for example, or air traffic control, and probably even more than than even commercial air travel would have to rely on them. So the idea that like you can avoid if you fly private, you can avoid like air incidents due to limited funding for air traffic control is false. Why are you so greedy if you're a socialist? I'm not. I love capitalism. Incidents aren't rising. Media is just hyper-focusing. Richest socialist. Ironic. Yeah. Thank you for your brilliant statement. I love capitalism. Okay. Can we get back to, this kind of stuff happening now? Is that okay? Private is more dangerous than public. Yeah. Yeah. Private air travel is definitely more dangerous.
Responders immediately began spraying down the plane's charred fuselage. Despite the devastating damage, officials say all 80 people on board, including 76 passengers and 4 crew members, survived.
It's really important that we do not speculate. What we can say is the runway was dry and there was no crosswind conditions.
At the time of the incident, visibility was down to 6 miles, and there were wind gusts up to 37 miles per hour. Air traffic control was heard warning the pilots.
I get a slight bump in the glide path, there'll be an aircraft in front of it.
Billy Nolan, former acting FAA administrator, calls it a remarkable escape.
A bit miraculous to wind upside down, and yet we've got 80 folks who walk off this plane and with no fatality. So I'll mark that as a win for us.
Yeah, it's true.
And I want to read
it's
you
a testament to the safety, if anything. Like, even in a situation like that, that's wild. It's wild that there was 0 fatalities in that. I'm sorry. That's just insane.
to a statement from Delta Airlines that they were.
That's not a win. That's a tie. No, that's a win for sure. That's absolutely a win.
Released. They say the hearts of the entire global Delta family are with those affected by today's incident. Tony, nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, it really is, Tom. Thank you very much. Let's talk more about it with Chris Van Cleve. He's going to talk about the investigation and how this all could have happened. Chris, good morning to you.
Yeah, someone actually just pointed this out. How many people die if a Greyhound bus flips? A Greyhound bus is flipping at much slower speeds, and it will still kill so many more people. Okay? 0? Are you kidding me? Do you know how many fatalities occur in traffic incidents on a daily basis? Are you out of your mind? Bro, driving around in your car, not to be the actually guy, but like the reality of the matter is driving around in your car is infinitely less safe than commercial air travel, okay? Like, not to be the annoying nerd, but that is the truth, okay?
You're a veteran of...
Car isn't a bus. No, just any kind of vehicle, okay? Any kind of vehicle. Moving the goalposts, how many on buses? Wait, what?
Of covering aviation in general, transportation.
Like per capita.
You've seen the videos
safe.
as we have. What do you make of what you're looking at?
Well, I think what you can see from the TMZ video looking behind as it's coming into land, this appears to be a very hard landing, followed by a collapse of one of the rear landing gear, perhaps, because you see the plane sort of shift down to the side right before that engine starts to flame. That'll be a good starting point for investigators. You know, did the impact, the hardness of that landing result in the gear collapsing? Did the gear collapse because of other reasons? That's not going to be told by the video, but certainly these new images give us a sense of what appeared to be a very hard landing. You don't see the typical kind of flare up that you would see as a plane would come into land, where you bring the nose up just a little bit right at landing to sort of smooth it out. This one looks like they came in almost like a carrier landing, straight in. A hard landing. They were dealing likely with winds at that time. We had heard gusts up to 40 miles an hour when they were coming in. So all of that will be significant. This video does give investigators a pretty good starting point as they make their list of what they want to know and what they need to find out.
Tom Hansen described it as a miracle. I certainly believe in miracles.
Yeah, well,
when you look at this.
I mean, this is also a good point, okay? Ain't no miracle. Credit a top-notch union cabin crew from AFA-CWA and layers of science-backed FAA safety guidelines about everything from airframe design to seatbelt strength to evacuation speed. No passengers died in part. Yeah. And the more you undermine each aspect of this, as our private corporations desperately try to do on a daily basis, the more you make sure that these quote-unquote miracles don't happen, okay? It is no more a miracle than the concept of flight to begin with, okay? Understandably, air travel has to be unimaginably safe. Understandably, it is an affront to God that you're up in the fucking sky flying around, okay? It is ridiculous. So obviously, it has to be incredibly safe. There is a tremendous amount of redundancies built into commercial air travel in general. There are also an insane amount of safety and regulation that comes in that is supposed to be working in real time, not just in the building of the equipment, but also in terms of like regulating air travel in general.
Context for us, if you could, Chris. One of the passengers said that they were upside down like bats in a cave, just hanging there with their seatbelts on. How unusual is it in any kind of airline incident for the plane to be upside down at the end?
Well, it's certainly very unusual, but clearly something that was thought about when they designed not only the aircraft, but those seats. The seats are designed to withstand many times the force of gravity. And if you ever wanted a lesson as to why people tell you to wear your seatbelts on the airplane, this was it.
Bro, I'm keeping it a $150. I'm never taking those off, dude. I was Mr. Oh, I'm taking the seatbelt off instantly as soon as the rubber hits the road, okay? I'm Mr. Efficiency. I'm Mr. Min-maxing. I always take the seatbelt off immediately, okay? As soon as the light turns off, as soon as the seatbelt light turns off, I'm like, pfft, okay? Or as soon as the plane lands, the moment that the plane lands, phone's on, off of airplane mode, seatbelts off. Never again. Okay? Never again.
In those seats saved lives. The flight attendants, you hear when you're coming into land that they need to prepare the cabin for landing, and they go through and they collect glasses and everything else, things that could become projectiles. They tell you to put your bags away and your laptops away. The reason
I never fully understood it until now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it now. I totally get it now. I'm clapping for the pilots as long as they're gay, okay? I'm not clapping for no white male pilots, let me tell you, okay? Or if I'm clapping for a white male heterosexual pilot, I'm assuming that they're in a polyamorous relationship in my headcanon to make sure. Like,
they do that is for a scenario like this, where things go wrong and those items could be flying about the cabin and injure passengers. By securing them, it also means that there's not clutter on the way out of the airplane. In this case, the exit path was the ceiling.
Yeah,
that is such a good reminder, Chris.
It really is.
Oh, man.
Great
I hadn't thought of it that way, even though we hear it time and time again.
Yeah. Great reminder.
Really good, yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
How did it happen? Investigators are still trying to figure out why a Delta Airlines flight crashed, flipped upside down, and caught fire after landing Monday at Toronto's Pier.
The white male pilots are all cheating on their spouses anyway? Yeah, with me. We're gay now, okay? No more heterosexual pilots. No more heterosexuality. It's over, okay? It's done.
International Airport.
Someone has to suck these dicks around these parts. You understand me? Someone has to be engaging in the act of butt sex, okay? For the safety of others. Do you understand? No more straights.
Come on.
It's done. It's over. We're done.
Remarkably, all 80 people on board made it out alive. There were at least 18 people injured. Listen to this exchange between air traffic control and a medevac pilot just moments after impact.
Where's the crash? It's on runway 23, right at threshold, right at this intersection there, 23 and 15 left. On Life Flight 1 medevac, just so you are, there's people outside walking around the aircraft there. Yeah, we've got it. The aircraft there's upside down and burning.
When the plane came to rest, buckled passengers found themselves hanging upside down. At least one wing of the aircraft torn off, the plane on fire.
It was mass chaos. I was upside down. The lady next to me was upside down. we kind of let ourselves go and fell to hit the ceiling, which is surreal feeling. And then everybody was just like, get out, get out, get out.
We didn't really know anything was the matter, or at least I didn't, until like the second we hit the ground. There was no like real indication of anything. And then, yeah, we hit the ground and we were sideways, and then we were upside down, hanging like bats.
Absolutely incredible. Let's bring in CNN transportation analyst Mary Schiavo. Mary, based on the footage and what we know so far, have you been able to draw any initial conclusions about what could have happened here?
Well, yes, the footage and then also the air traffic control communications and the weather alerts, METARs, meteorological warnings that are. And so the plane was coming in. They did have warnings that the winds were 23 to 37 knots, which is pretty tough on a Canadair regional jet 900. Then they had crosswind warnings of maybe 30 to 40 knots, which, depending upon the conditions at the airport, can exceed actually the recommended performance for the Canadair regional jet. They were coming down, there was some variation according to publicly available radar and the ground speed and the sink rate. So that means they were getting gusts of wind as they were coming down, and they smacked down pretty hard according to the eyewitness or the ear witness reports and those people on the plane right at the end of the threshold of the runway. And at that point, what looks like might have happened from very grainy videotape from other cameras is the landing gear, the rear gear, might have snapped off at that point, along with the right wing, which, with the left wing still on the plane, lifts the plane, causing a plane to roll and cartwheel. That's my best guess. It's only a guess at this point, and the investigators will have it real soon because they have the pilots to talk to, and of course the flight data recorders.
Yeah, a true miracle.
See the left wing once again working. The right wing destroyed. What does this tell you? What does this tell you? Are you grabbing your Steam Deck in this situation or not? No, I'm not grabbing the Steam Deck. But I am definitely grabbing my remote desktop setup and my IRL backpack. There ain't no way, especially the IRL backpack. I am not leaving that behind, okay? That is not happening. You down for some Jube King? No. No. What are you saying? Why would I ever watch Michael Knowles debate 25 LGBTQ plus activists? That's a crazy question. My man said Jube too. Like he's like, that's ban-worthy, dude. Like he likes Jubilee so much. He likes Jubilee so much that he calls it the Jube.
That there are so many people that they can interview about what happened because everyone survived this crash landing. CNN safety analyst David Susi drew some similar observations about what may have caused the crash, including some of those questions about the landing gear. I'd like to play that.
Yeah, bro's not even on a first name basis. He gave it like a play nickname to Jubilee. So is that a no? It's not just a no, it's a fuck no.
And get your response.
There are a lot of clues that you can see right away. The things I'd be looking at right away are, was it a hard landing? We look at the fact that the landing gear aren't on the aircraft. So are they there, or did they get torn off in the accident? Or perhaps they weren't even down at the time. So there's a lot of questions, but I think a quick visual of the aircraft on site would give them a lot of clues as to where this goes.
Mary, you mentioned the fact that you believe that the landing gear snapped off upon impact, but how could investigators prevent something like this from happening in the future? Is it a matter of de-icing the plane, clearing the runway, or simply not flying or landing in conditions as dangerous as the ones you were describing?
Well, you know, every plane has its own limits, and this one has more crosswind limits than, for example, a larger plane. But, you know, Toronto Pearson, that's a great airport, operates around the year, around the clock, and they do have all the services to clear the runway. But you can see even in the videotape there was tremendous blowing winds, blowing snow, etc. And that reduces the crosswind limits of the Canadair regional jet and all jets tremendously. So, for example, you might have a 37 crosswind allowance for that aircraft, but if the runway is not clear, If it's icy, if there's reduced braking, et cetera, that could fall to as low as a 15-knot crosswind. So what you have to do is every pilot and every airline has to make their decisions based on the operational limits of that aircraft.
Mary, there are going to be questions, perhaps reasonably, about just the frequency of some of these crashes that we've seen with obviously different outcomes. But in just the last 30 days, you had the midair collision above the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. with 67 victims. You had the medevac flight that crashed outside Philadelphia with 7 victims. A Bering Air.
Jesus Christ. I mean, when you put it like that, it doesn't feel too good. You know what I'm saying?
Flight in Alaska that had 10 victims and, of course, miraculously just 18 injured in that crash landing in Toronto that we were just discussing. Do you see this as a coincidence? Do you see this in perhaps a lapse in safety, in personnel? Are there any dots that we can connect here?
Well, with the last 2, weather certainly played an important role, both in Alaska and in this crash. And it's, the tough winter conditions.
What is this? I don't know who this person is. The Boeing 737 MAX. Turns out FAA are ignoring the fatal design flaw. Do not panic.news. Boeing is covering up another. Who is this guy? Nate Bear's reputable? I don't know who this person is. It's just a Substack. So I don't know. The litigation against the airlines in these multiple crashes is going to effectively kill the airlines. Do you think there's going to be another government bailout of the airlines? First of all, the answer is always yes. If you're asking me, is there going to be another government bailout? The answer is yes. Secondly, I'm not so certain these airlines are going to be buried under mass amounts of litigation. Part of the reason why I'm not so certain is because things are getting worse and worse at an alarming rate in a way that favors corporations regardless. So I just don't see, like, they kind of bake this they bake this legal framework or this kind of like litigation into their profit margins. It's not completely correct, obviously, when they do suffer end up causing a bunch of serious incidents like this in a row. There will be more litigation than before. More so than what they've like actually baked into their profit margins. But I do think that they, they have very powerful lawyers. No, I haven't seen Stephen A. Smith on Last Pod on the Left, Coffee Pillar. I'm not going to watch that, most likely. Okay. Is it about the oil intake during a bird strike event causing toxic fumes inside the plane through the AC system? All right. Anyway, this seems too complicated for me. The fatal flaw in the Boeing 737 Maxes.
And it depends on the operational limits of your aircraft and sometimes just freak winds and other issues. But for the other 2, there's no commonality. And what we always looked for, when I was with the Department of Transportation, you look for patterns, you look for trends, you look for data that you can connect. Now, of course, in the Washington D.C. flight, they had.
Anyway, listen. As I've said, if we're going to be super serious about this, okay, this is an obvious byproduct of reducing the workforce. Okay, first and foremost, on every side, on the production side, when you're making these planes, constant profit seeking that causes companies or makes companies look for outsourced manufacturing on different parts of the plane that don't have the same standard and safety measures in other countries deliberately, so it's cheaper. Okay. And in terms of like safety checks and inspections, you got less people doing safety checks, you got less people doing inspections, they're more overworked, they have a tendency to overlook, they're human beings after all. The only way to eliminate those problems is by making sure that you have redundancies. Okay, a lot of people are so primed towards constant min-maxing and constant efficiency that they forget that there is one area where you cannot do efficiency, and that is safety. Okay, you just can't do that. If you're maxing out profits, then you are going to hurt safety measures. Okay, airplanes in general are, you know, or the process of manufacturing airplanes in general is something that I'm obviously very familiar with due to my familial relations with someone who has built airplanes in the past and now builds spaceships, as a matter of fact. And from all of my, from my understanding, these things are built in a way where there is a million different redundancies built into it. Okay? All of those redundancies are points that are unprofitable. But the reason why there are redundancies built into it is because it has to be endlessly safe. Oh my God, this person is still fucking talking about. Okay, take a day off with the CPR class, please. You're being annoying. I'm giving you a day off timeout because you're being annoying. Like, you can have a correct point about everybody learning CPR safety and still be annoying and derail the conversation, which is what this person is doing, which is why I'm, you know, giving you a day off, please.
Had some very consistent data, and that is they had, I think, alerts that the helicopter traffic was causing conflict, loss of airspace separation with commercial air traffic. So that's a very important trend that somebody should have recognized long before this fatal crash in Washington, D.C. With the others, there's no commonality. So you're always looking for if there's a trend.
There is a commonality. It's capitalism. It's profit seeking. Anyway.
Back.